Agnelli is not just a surname, but a synonym for post-war Italy. For several generations, this family built a business empire, maneuvering between political crises, mafia wars, and personal tragedies. Their real-life story easily leaves the Heirs series behind in its intensity and cynicism. The Agnelli family has led a prosperous but quiet life in the town of Villar-Perosa near Turin since the Middle Ages. The family was known for their pragmatism, and the local elite trusted them to run the city. The real tectonic shift happened when Giovanni Agnelli Sr., born in 1866, took over. A retired cavalry officer and the mayor of Villars-Perosa, he literally raved about cars. While the skeptics were laughing at the horseless wagons, Giovanni spent his nights experimenting with the first internal combustion engines in a rented warehouse. In 1898, Agnelli met a bored Count Emanuele Bricarazzo, who was looking for a place to invest. Possessing a phenomenal gift for persuasion, Giovanni sold the idea of an automobile factory to an aristocrat and a group of bankers. A year later, the joint stock company Società Anonima Fabbrica Italiana Automobili Torino, abbreviated to Fiat, was born. Having invested a modest $400, Agnelli managed to occupy the chair of the managing director. The business grew rapidly, but rigidly. In 1907, when Fiat released an impressive 1,000 cars, the prosecutor's office uncovered a fraudulent scheme. Fake Agnelli brokers artificially brought down the company's shares, buying them from frightened small investors for a song. Giovanni admitted his guilt and went into the shadows, but 4 years later he returned triumphantly. The First World War was coming, which became a huge financial springboard for Fiat thanks to defense orders. In 1914, Agnelli met the charismatic activist Benito Mussolini. Seeing the power in the future dictator, the tycoon generously financed his political campaign. When Mussolini took over Italy, Agnelli's influence skyrocketed. He bought the main newspaper La Stampa, opened a bank, and acquired the Juventus Football Club, putting it under the management of his son Edoardo. The Agnelli family idol of the 1920s looked eccentric. Edoardo and his aristocratic wife raised 7 children in a luxurious estate where they kept a live leopard as a pet. But in 1935, the empire was shaken by the first terrible blow. Edoardo died in a terrible plane crash. The seaplane overturned, and the heir was decapitated by a propeller. His eldest son, Gianni, was only 14 years old. The grandfather took his beloved grandson under total control, preparing him for the throne. Gianni Agnelli Jr. spent the Second World War at the front. He fought on the Eastern Front, was wounded twice, and in North Africa he was shot in the arm, rumor has it, in a bar, having an argument with a German officer over a lady. When Mussolini fell, Fiat factories were almost nationalized for aiding fascism. The elder Giovanni died at the end of 1945 in isolation and dishonor. And then, 25-year-old Gianni came on stage. With impeccable English and the title of Doctor of Law, for which he received the nickname L'Avvocato, lawyer, he went to the Americans. Playing on their panic fear of communism, if you take away the factories, the workers will stage a revolution. Gianni not only kept Fiat for the family, but also knocked out millions of loans under the Marshall Plan. Having handed over the operational management to an old associate of the Vittorio Valletta family, Gianni himself turned into the main playboy of the planet for the next 20 years. jumping naked into the sea from a private helicopter, night racing along the Riviera, romances with Anita Ekberg, Pamela Churchill, and Jacqueline Kennedy. Gianni dictated fashion throughout Europe. Men copied his way of wearing wristwatches over shirt cuffs and unbuttoning the collars of expensive suits. He loved speed. There were no traffic restrictions for him. In 1952, near Monte Carlo, his Ferrari was rammed by a truck at 200 kilometers per hour. Gianni's leg was being pieced together, 7 fractures. But this incident was a signal. It's time to grow up. While the advocate was storming the gossip columns, Valletta turned Fiat into a giant. The baby Fiat 500, Topolino, put the whole of Italy on wheels. The company absorbed Lancia and Autobianchi, bought out 50% of Ferrari, and concluded the deal of the century with the USSR, building an Avtovaz in Togliatti. In 1966, Gianni officially became head of Fiat, and then he fell into the hell of the lead 70s. The economic crisis coincided with the terror of the leftist Red Brigades, who abducted and killed top managers. After the execution of Prime Minister Aldo Moro, Gianni Agnelli realized that he was the #1 target. He was advised to flee to New York, but the lawyer showed character. Every morning, he defiantly got behind the wheel of his Fiat, albeit with a Ferrari engine inside, and drove to work through strikes and pickets. For Italy, paralyzed by fear, he became a symbol of inflexibility, an uncrowned king. His authority was recognized by world leaders. Nikita Khrushchev openly declared to the Italian ministers at the talks, "I will talk to Agnelli. He's in power forever, and you're temporary." In October 1980, Gianni accomplished the impossible. When the unions blocked the factories, he organized the March of 40,000. Ordinary employees and engineers broke through the cordons of the radicals and went to their workplaces. The riot was suppressed. After regaining control, Agnelli turned Fiat into a multinational colossus: Alfa Romeo, Iveco, agricultural machinery. In parallel, his Juventus, with Michel Platini and Zinedine Zidane, broke up European football tournaments. The end of the 20th century brought a reckoning. Fiat began to yield to its Japanese competitors, and the Clean Hands anti-corruption investigation revealed that the Agnelli empire had been paying millions in bribes to politicians for years. But the real disaster was the personal loss. In 1997, Giovanni's nephew, the main and incredibly talented successor of the business, died of a rare cancer at the age of 33. And in 2000, Gianni's only son, Edoardo, a thin man who was fond of Oriental mysticism and despised by a tough father, stepped off an 80-meter bridge, committing suicide. The broken lawyer was dying of cancer. Before his death in 2003, he uttered the words that became the epitaph of the era. "Never talk about your pain. Keep her with you. No one can help you." Hundreds of thousands of ordinary Italians came to his funeral. Gianni's grandson, John Elkann, took the helm of the empire. The guy took over the company in critical condition. The loss for 2002 was $4 billion, but managed to perform a miracle. He combined assets into the Stellantis megacorporation, 14 brands including Jeep, Peugeot, Maserati, Opel, increasing the value of the family business by almost 9 times. However, the drama in the style of HBO is not complete to this day. John's mother, Margherita Agnelli, has waged a multi-year legal war against her own children, demanding the redistribution of her grandfather's trusts and billion-dollar accounts. And in September 2025, the Italian prosecutor's office harshly pressed John Elkann himself for tax evasion on the inheritance of Morella's grandmother. The head of the global auto giant Stellantis had to make a deal. He paid the state 183 million euros and agreed to a year of community service. The irony of fate is that the heir to the great lawyer, to whom all the workers of Turin once took off their hats, can now sweep the very streets along which his grandfather once raced in an exclusive Ferrari. However, Agnelli's story proved that this dynasty is able to survive in any circumstances. Do you think that John Elkann will be able to maintain the authority of the Agnelli dynasty after such a high-profile court scandal? Or is the era of greatness of this family irrevocably gone along with the lawyer?